Hello everybody, this is Refresh and I'm here to bring you a battle between the two 2018 Challenger decks. We have Vehicle Rush over here and we have Hazoret Aggro over there. We'll be playing the best of 3 with sideboarding and we'll see who comes out on top. We'll begin by rolling to see who goes first. Vehicle Rush gets 5. Hazoret Aggro gets 8. Hazoret Aggro will go first. We'll draw 7 cards. We get a Mountain, Fanatical Firebrand, On-Crop Crasher, Harsh Mentor, Soulscar Mage, Mountain, and Kari Zev Skyship Raider. I think this is a pretty good aggressive hand. If we draw another land, we will be all set. So we'll keep this. Vehicle Rush draws 7. We get a Bomat Courier, Heart of Quran, Plains, Inspiring Advantage, Evolving Wilds, and Unlicensed Disintegration. This is not a great hand because we only have one threat, really, and the Bomat Courier can't even crew the Heart of Quran. And so I think because we need a higher density of threats, we're going to send this back and hope for a better hand. Our second hand has an Aether Hub, Unclaimed Territory, Heart of Quran, Aether Hub, Unlicensed Disintegration, Toolcraft Exemplar, and Unclaimed Territory. This is not a very good hand, but I think we're going to keep it because the Toolcraft Exemplar can at least crew the Heart of Quran. And then we'll take the Aether Hub and stick that at the bottom of the deck. Hazoret Aggro will begin by playing a Mountain. We'll tap that Mountain and play the Fanatical Firebrand. This is a 1/1 Goblin Pirate with haste, and you can tap it to sacrifice it, and it deals 1 damage to target creature or player. Because it has haste, we can attack this turn, so we will turn and attack. Vehicle Rush has no blockers, and will take 1 and go to 19. Then Hazoret Aggro will pass the turn. Vehicle Rush draws. They get an Unclaimed Territory. We'll play the Unclaimed Territory. This is a land, and as it enters the battlefield, we'll choose a creature type. In this case, we will choose an Artificer. And then you can tap it to add colorless to your mana pool, or tap to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Spend this mana to only cast a creature spell of the chosen type. We'll tap it for a white mana to cast the Toolcraft Exemplar, which is a 1/1 Dwarf Artificer. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control an artifact, Toolcraft Exemplar gets +2/+1 until end of turn. If you control 3 or more artifacts, it also gains First Strike until end of turn. And then Vehicle Rush will pass a turn. Hazoret untaps, draws, gets a Shock. Hazoret will play a Mountain, and then Hazoret Aggro will attack with the Fanatical Firebrand. Vehicle Rush, seeing that this is a poor trade, will take the 1 and go to 18. Hazoret Aggro will follow up by tapping both Mountains and playing the Harsh Mentor. This is a 2/2 Human Cleric. Whenever an opponent activates the ability of an artifact, creature, or land on the battlefield, if it isn't a mana ability, Harsh Mentor deals 2 damage to that player. We're playing this to punish any activations of vehicles, and that's what we're going to assume that my opponent has because the Toolcraft Exemplar is typically found in vehicle decks. Then Hazoret will pass a turn. Vehicle Rush untaps. They draw. They get a Scrap Heap Scrounger. Vehicle Rush will play another Unclaimed Territory, also targeting Artificer. We'll tap both of these, and then we will play the Heart of Quran. This is a 4/4 legendary artifact vehicle with flying and vigilance. You can crew it for 3, and you may remove a loyalty counter from a planeswalker you control rather than pay the Heart of Quran's crew cost. Toolcraft Exemplar will trigger, and it'll become a 3/1 until end of turn, and then we will attack with the Toolcraft Exemplar for 3. Hazoret Aggro will choose not to block, will take 3 and go to 17. And then Vehicle Rush will pass the turn. Hazoret Aggro untaps, draw, gets a Mountain, we'll play the Mountain, and then we are going to, and then we'll attack with the Harsh Mentor and the Fanatical Firebrand. Vehicle Rush has no blockers, we'll take 3 and go to 15. Hazoret will follow up by tapping 2 to play Kari Zev Skyship Raider. She is a 1/3 legendary human pirate with First Strike and Menace. Whenever Kari Zev Skyship Raider attacks, create a legendary 2/1 red monkey creature token named Ragavan that's tapped and attacking. Exile that token at the end of combat. We'll also tap 1 more mana and play the Soulscar Mage. This is a 1/2 human wizard with prowess. If a source you control would deal non-combat damage to a creature an opponent controls, put that many -1/-1 counters on that creature instead. And then Hazoret Aggro will pass the turn. Vehicle Rush untaps. Vehicle Rush draws, gets a Spire of Industry. Vehicle Rush will play the Spire of Industry. It says tap, add colors to your mana pool, tap, pay 1 life, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, activates this ability only if you control an artifact. We are disincentivized to attack because Hazoret Aggro can easily block the Toolcraft Exemplar and get the 2-for-1 off the blocks, so we won't do so. Instead, we're going to tap the Unclaimed Territory and the Spire of Industry and play the Scrapheap Scrounger. This is a 3/2 artifact construct, and it can't block, and for 1 in black, exile another creature card from your graveyard, return Scrapheap Scrounger from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is actually probably worth it, so what we're going to do is, we're going to go to combat. At the beginning of combat, it becomes a 3/2. We'll tap the Toolcraft Exemplar to crew the Heart of Quran. This will trigger the Harsh Mentor to deal 2 damage to Vehicle Rush, which we'll take and go to 13. And then the Heart of Quran is crewed, and so we will attack with the Flying Vigilant Heart of Quran for 4. Hazoret Aggro takes 4 and goes to 13. And then Vehicle Rush will pass the turn. Hazoret Aggro untaps. They draw. They get an Abrade. Hazoret Aggro feels pretty confident that they can get through, so they will spend 2 mana to cast Abrade, which is an instant. You can either deal 3 damage to target creature or destroy a target artifact. We're going to destroy the Heart of Quran. Heart of Quran goes down. And then we'll spend 1 more mana to cast Shock, which is an instant. It deals 2 damage to target creature or player, targeting the Scrapheap Scrounger. The Scrapheap Scrounger goes down. And then Hazoret Aggro will attack with everybody. Karizev, Skyship Raider, will create a 2/1 red monkey creature token named Ragavan. And Soulscar Mage has been triggered twice with prowess, so it is now a 3/4 for a total of 9 damage. Vehicle Rush has no blocks. They'll take 9 and go to 4. And then Hazoret Aggro will pass the turn. Vehicle Rush untaps. They draw. They get a Concealed Courtyard. They will play the Aether Hub. When it enters the battlefield, you get an energy. We'll use one of these green things to mark enter energy. You can tap it to add colorless to your mana pool, or tap it and pay an energy to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Unfortunately, we are not able to cast Unlicensed Disintegration because I lost my artifact, so I can't spend the 1 life for a black or red mana. And so we only have 1 source of colored mana, and we are out. So we're going to hold, and we're going to pass the turn back to Hazoret Aggro. Hazoret Aggro untaps. Hazoret Aggro draws. They get another Harsh Mentor. They're going to tap all 3 mountains and play the On-Crop Crasher. This is a 3/2 Minotaur Warrior with haste. You may exert On-Crop Crasher as it attacks. When you do, target creature can't block this turn. We're going to go to our attack step, and we will exert the On-Crop Crasher so that the Toolcraft Exemplar can't attack, and then we will attack with everybody else for a total of 12 damage. Vehicle Rush has no way around this. They will take 12 damage and then perish. And that's game 1. I'll be right back with sideboarding, and then we'll go on to game 2. Alright, Vehicle Rush is going to make the following exchanges in the sideboard. We're going to be trading out the Cultivator's Caravan for the Aether Sphere Harvester. This is the second one, and the potential life gain from this I think makes this very important against another aggressive deck. The other change that we're going to be making is we're going to take out 2 Unlicensed Disintegrations and replace them with 2 Chandra's Defeat. We're doing this because Unlicensed Disintegration costs 3 mana and my opponent has a very fast deck, and so we want to be able to kill their creatures that are threats faster rather than waiting till we have 3 mana, even if that means that we're going to lose the +3 damage to their face. Also, the Chandra's Defeat only works against red creatures, and my opponent's deck is primarily red creatures, and so this is actually pretty good against their deck. Alright, so we're just going to make one exchange for the sideboard in this case. We're going to take out 2 shocks and replace them with 2 magma sprays, and this is because the magma sprays can kill the scrap heap scroungers, which can recur themselves from the graveyard while the shock can't. This does reduce some of our ability to hit my opponent's face, but I think it's important that they can't get graveyard recursion, and so we're going to put that in. I think the Sentinel's totems are probably overkill, considering that my opponent doesn't really have that strong of a graveyard strategy, at least as so far as we can see. So we'll make this exchange, and then we'll be back for game 2. For game 2, Vehicle Rush will opt to go first. We'll draw 7. Vehicle Rush draws a Mountain, Aether Hub, Plains, Lightning Strike, Mountain, Spire of Industry, and a Bowmat Courier. This is a lot of lands for a deck that is fairly low in curve, so we're actually going to ship this back and hope to draw something with a little bit more threat density. Now we draw a Bowmat Courier, Veteran Motorist, Heart of Quran, Mountain, Pia Nalar, Heart of Quran, and Veteran Motorist. We only have 1 land, which is quite bad because we will only be able to cast the Bowmat Courier. That said, I don't know if this deck can really afford to go down to 5 cards in their opening hand going on the play. And so I think we're going to keep this and hope that we can draw the plains that we need to keep on going with his hand. We'll take the extra Heart of Quran and we'll stick that on the bottom. Hazard draws 7. You get a Fanatical Firebrand, Soulscar Mage, Mountain, Mountain, Magma Spray, Mountain, and Mountain. This is not great, but we do have 2 threats, and we have 1 piece of removal, and I think that's good enough to keep. So we will do so. On turn 1, Vehicle Rush will play the Mountain. We'll tap the Mountain and we'll cast the Bowmat Courier. This is a 1/1 artifact construct with haste. Whenever it attacks, exile the top card of your library face down. You can pay red, discard your hand, and sacrifice Bowmat Courier. Put all the cards exiled with Bowmat Courier into their owner's hands. It enters the battlefield, it has haste. We're going to go ahead and attack immediately, and we will exile this card face down. Hazard has no blockers. We'll take 1 and go to 19. Then Vehicle Rush will pass the turn. Hazard draws, gets a Hazoret the Fervent. We'll play a Mountain. We'll tap the Mountain, and then we're going to play the Soulscar Mage because it's capable of blocking the Bowmat Courier. We've seen this one before. And then Hazoret will pass the turn. Vehicle Rush untaps, draws, gets a Lightning Strike. We are mana screwed. We are going to pass the turn. Hazoret Aggro and taps, draws, gets a Fanatical Firebrand. Hazoret Aggro is pretty happy to see that my opponent can't do anything. We're going to play a Mountain. We're going to tap both of the Mountains to play 2 Fanatical Firebrands, and then we're going to go ahead and attack with both Fanatical Firebrands for 2. Vehicle Rush will go ahead and take the 2 and go to 18. Then Hazoret Aggro will pass the turn. Vehicle Rush draws, gets a Concealed Courtyard, and then they will immediately play that. This enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or fewer other lands. This is the case, and you can tap to add white or black. So now we'll pay 2, and we will play the Heart of Quran. We're playing this even though we're going to take damage next turn because this can be activated with the Veteran Motorist to get in an attack and then block on the following turn. And then we will pass the turn. Hazoret Aggro untaps. They draw. They get a Karizev Skyship Raider. We'll play the Mountain. And then we will attack with everyone for 3. Vehicle Rush will decline to block. We'll take 3 and go to 15. Then Hazoret Aggro will tap 2 Mountains and play Karizev again. And then we'll hold up mana for the Magma Spray and we will pass the turn. Vehicle Rush untaps, draws, gets an Aether Sphere Harvester. We cannot cast that yet. We'll go ahead and get started by tapping 2 mana, 1 for red and 1 for white, and we'll play the Veteran Motorist. This is a 3/1 Dwarf Pilot. When it enters the battlefield, we'll scry 2, and when it crews a vehicle, that vehicle gets +1/+1 until end of turn. We'll go ahead and scry 2. We'll look at the next 2 cards. We need the land. We'll take that. The Paula is not bad as well, but I think we have enough going on in a 3-drop slot. So we're going to take this and stick her on the bottom. And then we will pass the turn. At the end of Vehicle Rush's turn, Hazoret Aggro will tap the mountain and cast Magma Spray, targeting the veteran motorist. Magma Spray deals 2 damage to target creature. If that creature would die this turn, exile it instead. The veteran motorist is exiled. Hazoret Aggro untaps, draws, gets a Bomat Courier. We're going to go ahead and play the 4th land, and then we're going to tap everything. And we'll play Hazoret the Fervent. This is a 5/4 legendary god with indestructible and haste. Hazoret can't attack or block unless you have 1 or fewer cards in hand. We only have 1 card in our hand. And then you can pay 2 in a red to discard a card, and it deals 2 damage to each opponent. Since she has haste, we can attack with everybody. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Hazoret, Carrie, Fanatical Firebrands, and the Soulscar Mage will all attack. Karizev will create a 2/1 Ragavan, and that is a total of 11 damage coming through. There's not much Vehicle Rush can do right now, and we need to staunch some of this damage. So we are going to just chump Hazoret with the Bomat Courier. The Bomat Courier will die, and this exiled card will remain exiled. And then we will take 6 damage and go to 9. Then Hazoret Aggro will pass a turn. Vehicle Rush untaps, draws, gets a mountain, we'll play the mountain, and this is not a great place to be right now. We will tap 3 mana and play Pia Nalar. She is a 2/2 legendary human artificer. When she enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying, and for 1 in red, target artifact creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. And for 1, you can sacrifice an artifact and target creature can't block this turn. We'll use this formerly exiled card to represent the 1/1 Thopter. And because we can't do much else, we will pass the turn. Hazoret Aggro will untap, draw, get a mountain. We'll play the mountain. We'll go ahead and tap a mana and play the Bomat Courier as well. We will go to combat and we'll attack with everybody. The Bomat Courier exiles a card as it attacks. We have to block Hazoret, so we will chump with the Thopter, and then we're going to block the Soulscar Mage with Pia Nalar. We'll lose the Thopter, and we will take 6 damage to go to 3. Hazoret Aggro will lose the Soulscar Mage, and then Hazoret Aggro will pass the turn. Vehicle Rush untaps, draws, gets a mountain. We'll play the mountain. We'll tap the Concealed Courtyard for white and a mountain. We'll play the Veteran Motorist, and then we'll scry 2. Take a look at these. We'll keep the Toolcraft Exemplar and put the Unclaimed Territory at the bottom. We'll spend 2 mana right now to Lightning Strike the Karizev Skyship Raider. It deals 3 damage to target creature or player. Karizev dies. And then Vehicle Rush will pass the turn. Hazoret Aggro untaps. They draw. We get a mountain. Hazoret Aggro will tap the Fanatical Firebrand and sacrifice it, targeting the Veteran Motorist to deal it 1 damage. In response, Vehicle Rush will tap the Veteran Motorist to crew the Heart of Quran, making it a creature, and then the Veteran Motorist will take the damage and die. And then Hazoret just realizes she has the win in the pocket, and so she will tap 3 mana and use Hazoret's ability to discard this to deal 2 damage to our opponent. And while that's on the stack, we'll go ahead and tap and sacrifice the Fanatical Firebrand to do 1 more damage to our opponent. Vehicle Rush takes 3 and perishes. And Hazoret Aggro easily beats Vehicle Rush in straight sets 2-1. Vehicle Rush did stumble pretty badly with mana in the second game on a couple of really bad hands, and so part of this was variance, but I do think that Hazoret Aggro is a pretty strong red deck. Let me know what your thoughts were about these games in the comments below. Next time I'll be pitting the Second Son control deck against the Counter Surge deck. Links to that and other games that we're doing with these challenger decks in the description box below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see future videos, you can hit subscribe. This was Refresh, and thanks for watching.